Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get Growing Weekly Work Session with Get Oiling. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of Get Oiling, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here again today.
We sure are. And we are also thrilled, as always, to have Colin and Julie with us here. Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing, everybody?
And you here watching us live, joining us here on Zoom, welcome. Hello to you. Say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. And if you are watching this as a replay, I hope that you'll come and join us on a future live call. We host these calls every Thursday at noon US Eastern Time, unless it is convention or a holiday. And today we're going to be talking about how you can strategically go about organizing your content. And if you are someone who is fully in the throes of creating content, you are committed to creating content, you're in the right place because you're going to learn how to better organize what you do. And if you're somebody who is maybe just curious about getting started with serious content creation, you are also in the right place. Because if you start out with an organized strategy, you'll never feel burnt out and never feel lost when it comes to what you're going to talk about next and how it's going to best get you the results that you're looking for, which ultimately is exposure to the right people, more leads, and of course, more growth in your business. So without further ado, we are going to get into today's topic. I've got some slides prepared for you. We're going to pop out a video so that we can get a nice little recording here for the YouTube. By the way, if you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do go ahead and do that. We've got so much there for you, and you can find a shortcut to all of our content as well from your Get Oiling dashboard in the Success Academy. All right, let me check out our chat here real quick. Hello again, everybody. Hello, Phoenix, Arkansas. Welcome, you guys. Excited to see you here. Yeah, we are thrilled to be here as always to support you as a brand partner to help you grow your Young Living business. So let's talk about this. We want to learn how to structure our content so that we can get more visibility, more engagement, more leads, and more sales for our Young Living brand partner business. And of course, if you offer services or anything that are adjacent or complementary to your Young Living business, this is for you as well. So today we're going to talk about content silos. And we'll talk about what they are and why they matter to your business and to your overall strategy. We'll talk about how they improve engagement, organization, and brand clarity. And we'll talk about what it looks like to use and display these content silos in Get Oiling. We'll talk about what it looks like to identify yours. If you are unclear as to what you could call your top level content silos, we will work on that together today. And then finally, you'll learn how you can plan and organize your content using these silos, these top level topics. And of course, as always, we will get into live help and Q&A. So if you came here today looking for support, we are here for you, whether it has to do with today's topic or not. Add those questions to the Q&A here live on Zoom. And if you'd like to join us on a future live session, if you're watching this as a replay, getoiling.com/weekly work session is where you want to go to come and join us on a live call like this one. And did you know we save the second half of these calls to work together one-on-one with you, and you can reserve that time. So next week, the following week, and so on, if you would like to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to work toward the achievement of a particular goal on a project in my Get Oiling system, and then I want to sit down for support and accountability and review and make sure I'm on the right track, you can get that done, and it's free. You can sign up right here at getoiling.com/website review. You'll be able to, in the second half of a call just like this one on a Thursday at noon US Eastern Time at about 12:30, so we go halfway between, we will call you out and we will work together on whatever it is that you want to work on. This is a 100% free benefit to you as a member of our community, and we so look forward to working with you on an upcoming call. Now, if you would like to just hand off the work that you're doing, you want someone else to do it for you, we have got qualified, talented people who could do that very thing. Getoiling.com/concierge. It's where you want to go if you want to learn more about what our team can do for you and schedule a no obligation call with them to discuss your project. All right, let's get into this. What is a content silo? Actually, let me ask you guys a question before we get started. Head over into the chat and give me an answer here. If you could tell me from a top level perspective, if somebody were to say, oh, you have a blog, or oh, you have a podcast, YouTube channel, social media presence, whatever, and they say, what do you talk about? Would you be able to answer that question in 3 to 5 topic, like top level topics? Would you be able to say, I talk about X, Y, and Z, or A, B, C, D, right? Would you be able to concisely say, these are the things that you can expect to hear from me? And if they are, I'm very curious to hear what they are. Go ahead and pop those into the chat. Now, what I'm talking about here, when I say, what are those top level things? What do you talk about? And for you to concisely say, I talk about X, Y, and Z. X and Y and Z, those are your content silos, meaning these are sort of like little mini umbrellas in your brand where you can say, these are the things that I talk about. Now, there are many things, as if you don't know what a silo is, it's a thing that's used on a farm, right? It stores grain typically or feed. And so it's tall and there's a lot of stuff that's in it, right? Lots of little bitty tiny pieces of things are inside of it. So a lot can fit into a silo, but a silo is typically one thing, right? You're not going to have a silo that's got 5 types of grain in it. You're going to have a silo with one type of grain in it. And that is kind of what we're getting at here is we want to be able to say, if it fits under this umbrella, this is what it is, right? And maybe I have these 3 to 5 umbrellas that that cover what I talk about in my content. So these are top level themes. And this is a way for you to organize your content. And it allows you a clearer path to be able to contextualize what you talk about to the person that it is relevant to. That's your future lead and customer, right? This will help you to structure and categorize your blog and your social media posts and any other content that you create, such as podcasts, YouTube videos, and the like. And it allows you to make sure that you're staying consistent with your message so that your audience knows what to expect and can build the trust that gets them to open every email that you send, right? If you've ever heard somebody say that email isn't worth it because people don't open, it's actually not true, right? The fact is it's just a little bit more difficult to get somebody to commit to open an email than it is to interrupt their entire day by sending them a text. One of these is easier for you in the short term, but doesn't really keep people around long term. That would be text. And the other, if you get it right, can allow you to write your own check for the rest of your career if you build upon this correctly. Talking about building a list and building a relationship with the people on it such that they open the emails that you send, they read them, they click the links in them, and they take action on what you provide, right? We want to make sure that we are consistent so that we can build that trust with the people that we are attracting to us. And then finally, we can support brand clarity by reinforcing our expertise and messaging. Because if the people you're putting yourself in front of don't understand what you could do for them, they're going to stop listening to you, right? So if we can be really concise and consistent with what it is that we're talking about, we're going to have people that automatically think of us when a need arises. And that's going to be the person who is your next customer or your best next source of referral business. So content silos, if you haven't picked up already, these are really, really important for your brand because it makes your content easier for visitors to explore, right? So this isn't something that's random, it's something that is organized. And this is going to be really important for the life and health of your website, right? If your content isn't easily organized and easy to navigate as a result on your website, then you are going to have a hard time keeping people around, right? If they can easily find what they're looking for and then find more things that are relevant to them, they'll stick around longer, meaning you're going to be able to go up in the search engine results when people search for things you talk about. And then, of course, this is just by nature of focusing on keywords. You're also going to have a better likelihood of showing up in their search results just by virtue of using the right words consistently. This also allows you to plan better, to have an easier time at creating content. This is a fairly time-consuming practice if we go about it the wrong way. And the right way, it's a moderate time consumption with huge potential payoff for you if we go about it the right way. And then, of course, if we are consistent, we can get this done. And I'll be talking here in just a little bit about some resources to help you be consistent and for this to not take up a ton of your time. It's a previous training series that we did. We'll be building that upon that here on this call. Your content silos are also going to help you to keep your audience engaged by delivering the content that they care about and to help establish your unique voice and to build long-term trust with your leads, right? Because your unique voice isn't, I'm going to go talk about toxin-free living or nutrition, because everyone and their mother could sign up for a social media account and start talking about toxin-free living and nutrition. And just about everybody who is a brand partner is going to talk about those things or something adjacent to them. But if you understand who you're trying to attract and you are regularly in the practice of framing these topics toward that person, you're developing a unique voice, a unique perspective that's going to allow people that you are uniquely here to serve to immediately identify you and what you're saying as being for them, right? Now, in terms of using your content silos and get oiling, this is pretty straightforward, and I will be showing you exactly where this stuff shows up. It's very simple to implement. First things first, your blog category tags. Whenever you're creating content and get oiling, you're putting that onto your blog, right? You've got website pages that are there to kind of create a structure for your website, but your content is the stuff that people come to discover, read, interact with, and then ultimately uh, convert to become your leads and move forward toward working with you. And so utilizing blog category tags is going to help people to easily find the things that are most relevant to them, and it's going to keep things nicely organized in your blogs. So make sure that each blog post includes at least one relevant category tag, and that one relevant category tag should be the one that is your content silo name, right? And I'll get into some examples of this in just a bit. But we want to make sure that we're not going nuts with category tags because this can really kind of clog up the reading experience, make things very kind of messy when people are reading the blog. And it stops being effective at a point, right? So we want to have at least one, and it needs to be the one that represents the content silo that this is a part of. You could certainly use a couple of sort of subtopics as well if that's something that you want to be focusing on in terms of keywords. And these tags will help you to organize your website and make it easier for visitors to navigate your content because they're going to be able to visit a blog post and then see related topics because the tag is there on those posts as well. And it's very likely that the lead magnet that you might be pointing to or other page on your website that you might be pointing to from that blog post is going to, of course, be easier to find because they were reading something that is adjacent to or relevant to that topic. So really quickly, before I go any further, I want to make sure that we're super clear on what it is that I'm talking about in terms of these. Here we go. Let me pop right over here. In terms of these blog category tags and get oiling. So this is Jane's website. I went to her blog right here by going to the Learn menu. And you can see here that Jane's got some blog posts, and you can actually see the blog categories right over here, right? You can see her recent posts, but really importantly, the blog category tags. Now, if you see this here and it is taking up the entire page, it is going to be important to maybe make some modifications to that because that is going to make your website just a little bit more difficult to navigate, right? Your blog content is going to be a little harder to navigate. Because the idea is that we want to be able to click on one of these and then open up a bunch of posts that are specific to that, right? Because that's a lot more satisfying than clicking a category and then just finding a single topic, right? So here's, an example of that here. Obviously, this is a dummy blog. It's not a real one. But these are blog category tags. And they're going to show up on your site here. And then, of course, if we want to come over here to a blog post, you can also see that those blog category tags show up right here. Now, again, this is where I was saying it can get kind of messy. If you've put 27 tags right here, it's going to be clogging up this entire space before they're able to get to the content, right? So anyway, this is where it shows up when it's published. And in the posts themselves, so here's that post I was just showing you. In the post itself, you can see here's our content and our title. And right here, this is where our blog categories are, right? So my recommendation is to get really clear on, from a top level perspective, what those silo names are, and then be consistent, right? Making sure that that topic is being applied here in your blog categories. And you can actually see all of the ones that were used previously. So you don't have to guess. You can actually select it from the drop-down menu of the ones that were already put into place if this is something that you're currently doing. All right. So blog tags. Now, another really cool thing that I do want to show you before we move ahead here is that if you wanted to actually show all of the posts related to a specific topic on one page, you can do that with Get Oiling. And this is really cool. So I'm going to go view post here. And again, this is Jane's blog, doesn't have a ton of posts on it. But if I maybe wanted to just find all of my self-care, maybe self-care is a primary content silo for me. And under self-care, I talk about routines and I talk about nutrition and I talk about skincare, right? So under self-care, maybe meditation also, right? So under self-care, I can just click this here and it'll show all of the blog posts that Jane has that are related to that specific topic. And if we go up here, can you see up here in the up here at the top where we have her website, blog, tag, and then self-care is included here. So you could actually take this link and share it from maybe pages on your website. So maybe if on your homepage you want to say, I talk about topics X, Y, and Z, and then you could link, if this is topic X, I would link to here so that when they visit the blog, they're not just going to the website.com/blog. They're going to this specific link where they can immediately go and find all of the topics that are related to that, all of the posts that are related to that specific topic, right? So this is where it becomes really powerful for you creating navigation for your visitors, right? Helping them to stick around longer, get to know you better, and then of course, ultimately become so much more likely to become your next customer. All right, now let's talk about how we can identify and define our content silos. So you may have an idea of what these are for you, and that's fantastic. It is important to refine and improve upon this over time. So once you have it set, it's not necessarily going to be that forever. You may discover that you have an audience that's really hungry for a different type of content. You may choose to pivot. And this is really where a pivot begins, is with your content, right? How can you reframe the things that you have been talking about through a lens that is more applicable to your ideal client? So it might be moving from simply saying, nutrition, I talk about nutrition, and saying nutrition for menopause, right? If that's the person that you're speaking to, or nutrition for new moms, right? So getting a little bit more clear is something that you can even look at working on over time. But to start, we need 3 to 5 top level topics that align with your brand. Okay. 3 to 5, you do not really need more than this. Generally speaking, we're going to be able to fit everything under this many umbrellas. And I would try to aim on the smaller side of this, just to keep things targeted. Even if you wanted to go for a more broad category to begin with, like lifestyle. Lifestyle is a great place to start, especially if you're somebody who enjoys creating social media content, right? Because there's so much that you can do with that. And it allows you a lot of space, right? So if lifestyle is where you talk about organization, maybe where you, share some aesthetic choices that you've made, but then you also are talking about the cleaning that you do or minimalism or something like that, right? You can put that all into one place. Now they need to be broad enough, like I just mentioned, to cover recurring topics, but they also need to be specific enough to maintain consistency. So the tricky part of maybe saying I talk about lifestyle is that lifestyle could mean traveling. It could mean, keeping a minimalist home, right? It could be incorporating faith into what you do, right? So we need to think about the perspective. So it's lifestyle, but for whom? And that'll help you get a little bit closer to a silo definition that will work for you. All right, so let's get into some examples here. So the first one might be natural living. This is a great top level content silo for a brand partner. right? So under natural living, we can talk about things like a toxin-free home, daily wellness habits, essential oils, aromatherapy, and self-care and stress relief. Now, natural living as a silo is on the broad side. And if you are just getting started, this is a fine place to start. But if you have really started to recognize that the person that you are attracting and want to work with more often in your business is somebody who is maybe approaching menopause, I'll just use that as an example here, then I might tailor this a little bit more closely to that person, right? So instead of just saying, I talk about natural living, and that means I'm going to talk about a toxin-free home, daily wellness habits, etc., I might say, I talk about natural living strategies for women experiencing the change. And that begins with addressing the chemicals in our home that are contributing to our hormonal imbalances, right? So that is going to just absolutely shoot the spidey senses up for the right person, if that's the person that you want to be speaking to, right? That allows us to kind of narrow down a little bit further, right? So if you're just getting started, use a silo like natural living. But if you're trying to refine, really start thinking about tailoring this natural living topic toward the person that you really want to be reaching, not being a generalist, but really creating some specific context for your person. Another great one that you could use, again, a nice broad one, healthy living and nutrition. So under healthy living and nutrition as a silo, you can talk about simple nutrition tips, gut health and digestion, hydration and energy, and cooking with essential oils. These are all things that you could talk about under the top level silo of healthy living and nutrition. Family and wellness, another great silo. Again, the majority of us can, as brand partners, take advantage of using any of these silos that I've mentioned. So this one could include topics like kids and natural remedies, wellness routines for busy moms, sleep and stress management, and creating a healthy home environment. So let's take a look at what a transformation might look like, right? So before and after. And this might feel or seem familiar. If you are on your journey, then this is going to sound like maybe what you started with and closer to where you are now. This before, if you resonate with the before and it sounds like you, I think you are going to really benefit a great deal from implementing this strategy. So maybe we want to, like I mentioned before, talk about supporting women in midlife. So if you're a brand partner who wants to do this, but we're not really structuring our content clearly, we might be talking about hormonal imbalance sometimes, but sometimes we're also talking about mindset and personal growth, also very important things, but not really directly seemingly related to hormonal imbalance. And then, maybe talking about home and lifestyle topics as well, where this feels kind of all over the place, right? If we're looking at it this way. So your blog, your social media, it might feel kind of random, right? Maybe talking about essential oils sometimes, maybe stress sometimes, maybe self-care sometimes, maybe talking about young living from time to time, but it's not a cohesive picture. If a woman in midlife arrived at your page, she wouldn't know what to think of it. Right? If she arrived at your website, your social, she wouldn't really be clear on who you are and the fact that you are someone who would just absolutely love to work with her and you could help her so much, right? If your person doesn't see a clear focus where it says, this is for me, this is my person, then we need to really look at zeroing in on what those silos are so that we can organize our value that we're putting out into the world more effectively, right? So our content before creating silos looked like, best essential oils for sleep, or 3 tips for a toxin-free home, mindset hacks for a happier life, how to support your skin as you age. These are all fine, right? But they don't connect to a larger structure. They don't tell the bigger story. So she can't arrive and see the big picture. She has to dig to try to find it. And look, if it's not something that's apparent within the first, honestly, split seconds, we're going to lose her because that's the nature of attention and how much attention people are paying to us and what we're doing with our businesses and our brands on the internet. If they don't get it quickly, they're gone. So we need to be able to have what we're doing tell a story that she can pick up right away, right? So if we were to address her content silo situation, here's what we could see. If she identifies maybe 4 core content silos that directly relate to the women in midlife that she wants to serve. They're navigating perimenopause, aging, an empty nest, right? We could talk about hormone and energy support. And here are some things that we can talk about: perimenopause, adrenal health, mood and energy. We could talk about creating a calming home for stress-free spaces, natural swaps, toxin-free living. Note that we are actually kind of still talking about the exact same stuff. We're just organizing it differently. Do you see the difference? Maybe we're talking about self-care and aging well, where we can address topics like skin health, mindset, emotional well-being, but we're doing this through the lens of a woman who is experiencing this change in midlife, who has goals that are specifically related to who she is and where she is in life, right? So we're taking this broad topic and we're making it something that really is tailored for her. Maybe we're also talking about life transitions and purpose, finding new purpose after the kids leave home, personal growth, creating the next best part of her life, right? Again, we're still going to talk about the same products, right? We're still going to talk about the same habits, routines, etc., that you know and love and want to share. We just need to make sure that we aren't approaching it with the language of a generalist, right? We need our people to understand that we are here for them. So her blog topics with these silos in mind could be natural ways to support perimenopause symptoms, how to create a stress-free bedroom for better sleep, how your skin changes in midlife and what to do about it, and finding joy and purpose in the empty nest phase. Just a few examples. And there's so many similar to this that we could be pursuing as well, right? So what this does for her is it allows people to instantly recognize that her content is for them, and her blog categories help them to click through and quickly find what they need. Because if she's got that top level category about finding purpose, post empty nest, then she's going to want to click that if that's what she's interested in. And then she could see you talking about mindset, about refocusing on you, about creating hobbies, making new friends, whatever it is that you like to talk about that fits into that category. But she's going to be able to find all of those things and see that there's so much here that you can do for her, right? If we set our content up this way, then people can get it a lot more easily. Here, you also get the benefit of more strategic content planning. If you aren't looking at your content creation from a generalist perspective, it becomes so much easier to come up with ideas because you're not just thinking about stuff, you're thinking about stuff and who it's for, right? And who it's for, they're going to use that stuff in a more specific way than just stuff sitting on a shelf, right? And what we are typically doing when we're just getting started is we're looking at a thing on a shelf and we're writing about that. But we need to be thinking about how that thing is picked up and used by the person that we want to be attracting. And if that's the conversation we're having, we're going to connect and we're going to convert, right? And what that looks like is building trust and authority, right? And that gets her more engagement, more shares, more leads, and ultimately more sales. Maybe you are someone who is a homeschool mom, or maybe you are a former homeschool mom who is focusing on helping women who have been in your position. So maybe you are focusing on wellness tips, recipes, DIYs, homeschooling advice. This is the stuff that you love to talk about. And maybe it's about saving money on groceries, natural cleaning, homeschooling tips. These are all very valuable things that your ideal mom probably wants to know about. And the topics are great, but if they're not organized, this person's not going to know, your lead, that mom is not going to know that there's more from you that's relevant to her. And so when you post, it might feel random, unstructured. And then, of course, it makes the planning difficult and it makes that navigation difficult. People don't see the value as clearly. So before creating silos, she might post things like 3 quick and healthy dinner ideas, how to make your own cleaning spray, why play-based learning works, and the best ways to save money on groceries. Again, all fantastic topics, but how can we make them better for the person that these are actually for? So if we identify our 4 key silos that speak directly to our homeschool moms who are juggling family life, budgeting, and wellness, we can focus on homeschooling and parenting hacks as a silo. And this is going to encapsulate learning activities, discipline strategies, homeschooling schedules, Another top level topic, another silo, feeding a family on a budget. This would be our easy, healthy meals, grocery savings, meal prep, non-toxic home and DIYs. This would be homemade cleaners, budget-friendly, toxin-free swaps, and self-care for moms, stress management, easy wellness routines, and staying energized because that mom is doing a lot, right? So do you see the difference? We're talking about the same stuff. I'm not here to tell you to change your passions or that what you know is not enough. What you know is exactly enough. And your passions are exactly what they need to be. We just need to organize them in a way that makes sense for our person, right? So, our blog topics with silos for this mom is how to keep your homeschool schedule simple and stick to it, feeding the family on a budget, quick, healthy dinners that won't break the bank, DIY cleaning spray that's safe for kids and pets, and simple wellness hacks for moms who have no time, right? This is going to speak to her more clearly. So, what this means is that moms are going to instantly relate because they're going to see topics that match their daily struggles. They'll be able to navigate your blog and thus your website easier. They're going to be able to find more of what they need, trust you more, and then ultimately convert, become your leads, have conversations with you, become your customers. And then your content planning, again, is so much easier because you know what to write and you don't have to worry about what to say. You can tell your own stories because we're not talking about something that's separate from us. We're talking about the very thing that matters the most to us, right? We're doing it in a way that's authentic. And here we're building authority again, leading to more engagement, more leads, and more business growth. All right, so let's talk about how we can plan and organize our content using our silos. First things first, use your Trello swipe file and content planner. If you do not know what I'm talking about, I am talking about this little guy right here. We actually did a multi-part training series on content creation, and this is a totally free resource that you can use. This template was pre-created for you, and there's a three-part training series on swipe files and on your planning and publishing for your blog posts. Highly recommend that you check those out. But one feature that I want to call to your attention here is on each of these cards, you have these labels, right? So if I go over here actually, and let's just say I have an idea for a social media post. I'm going to create from a template a social media post, and I'm going to make this this is going to be self-care for moms who don't have time. There we go. And when I come over here, there are labels. When I click labels and I show more, I actually have some of these labeled already. When you actually get this Trello board, you're going to see that they say content silo 1, content silo 2, content silo 3, etc. Right? So if this is self-care for moms, that's my silo. I'm going to title this here. And I can then apply this to every piece of content that I plan. And you're going to see this right here on these individual cards. And then what you're able to do, and maybe this one is also, I'm going to add my label here, self-care for busy moms. There we go. And that's my silo. So I can actually go and identify all of my content that's in a particular silo in my Trello board by going to filters. And you can actually like filter for your specific tags, right? Here we go, right here, select labels. Um, Here we go, this guy right here. When I click it, we will actually go straight to, you can see everything on the board that has that silo. So this helps for your planning. And of course, you are able to see historically what you've done and have those silos represented there on your Trello board. And by the way, real quick, if you don't know where to find this, and I know our team has a link to the playlist, but if you want to find the playlist, go to your Get Oiling dashboard, head up here to Success Academy, and under live training and replays, if you click view by topic, the playlist is right here. It's this content planning systems. Now, this content planning systems is going to have, oh, sorry, just a second. If I go to view full playlist, you'll actually see that we've got our our series right here for you to follow. So this is where I would encourage you to go to get started with this. All right, now getting back over here, use that Trello board, that swipe file and content planner. Again, it's free. It's going to save you a ton of time. It's going to help you stay organized. Create those labels in Trello for your content silos, like I just showed you. When you get that template, it's already going to be labeled content silo 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Just go in and edit those and rename them for your content silos as you're defining them here today. And then apply those content silo labels to all of your saved content ideas and be sure to apply them as you move forward, creating new ideas and creating new content. And make sure that you're creating a nice balance as well. Rotate between these silos when you're planning out your blog and social content so that you've got a nice amount of each different silo for your people to navigate between on your site. And then, of course, make sure that each post that you are creating is tying back to your brand focus, expertise, passion, right? So again, if you're going to talk about non-toxic cleaning products, you could talk about it the way that AI and Google talk about it, which is completely bland and boring, right? Or you could talk about it as it pertains to the interests, goals, needs, desires of the person that you really want to be reaching, right? So always make sure that we are reframing in that way and we will see better results. So remember to check out that content planning systems, that playlist on our YouTube channel. You can find that from the Success Academy. That's going to help you get started. If you do not have that Trello board yet, highly recommend, if you have not done that yet, drop everything and start doing this. It's going to give you what you need to get started with your content. So I'm excited to get into Live Help and Q&A. If you are looking for maybe some ideas, some support around how you might frame your silos, excited to chat with you guys through that. And then maybe we can get into a little demonstration of how you can even create a page on your Get Oiling site that that features your content silos, because that's sort of like a next level up from here, would be to create a page, focus on really the messaging around that topic, that specific silo. And then you could maybe even highlight some specific blog posts there and then link off to, like I showed you, all of the blog posts in a single list. That are tagged with that blog category tag and Get Oiling. All right, Jackie says, is there a way to delete past categories from past blogs without having to edit each one separately? So as of right now, and Greg, please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the only way to do that right now is to go into your individual blog posts to modify those blog categories, which isn't the worst thing, because it is actually really valuable for you to go back and update and repost old content to keep it fresh and relevant. So just make that a practice, right? So you don't have to go in and do a complete overhaul if you are somebody who put 27 category tags on your blog posts. Don't feel like you have to go do everything right now, but just make it a habit, right? Like, you know, a couple per week, go in, see if there's anything else that needs to be updated. You know, do we need to swap out a lead magnet that's on there, right? Like what does that look like for you? And then just go in and make some edits and updates to any of the tags that you don't want to use. All right, so when I have a lot of random blog posts, how can I rewrite them, or do I just delete them? What do you mean by random? Like, how truly random would this be? So there's a really good chance that there's a way to reframe it, right? I love AI for this personally. That's going to be a big time saver, but you do need to be able to go in with a great deal of clarity. So if you say, my top level topics, like, I don't know that AI would necessarily recommend or recognize silos, although I think it could pick it up. There's not standardized language for this kind of thing across the industry in a real way. So you could say that my blog focuses on topics A, B, C, and D. And I have this post talking about this topic. I would like to reframe the contents of it so that it's relevant to this person and fits under these topics. And then you paste it and then let it kind of do some of that heavy lifting for you. And that'll at the very least get you in the right direction. reusing what you have. I don't recommend just flat out deleting because longevity of content, like how long it's been published on your site and crawled through by search engines, actually really works in your favor. It's better to update something to make it more today than to delete it because it's old. All right. Any special guidelines for the very first blog post? Is it an intro to who we are and what we offer, a general overview, or just dive right into one of our silos? That's a really great question, Dawn. Dive right into your silos because in the long run, people are not going to encounter your blog posts sequentially, right? So just start. That really is the best thing to do. Now, if one of the things that you'd like to do is do sort of like an about me post, I would do that in a very specific way, right? So I would maybe frame a personal story that fits in a silo that speaks to a key topic, right? So maybe if you are somebody that speaks to, maybe to fertility journey or something like that, then maybe this is where you share a little bit of a story relating to your own journey, some of the steps that you follow, but maybe you're talking about how nutrition impacted it, right? Or maybe how, whatever, right? Like, so to still pick a topic, you can do some introductory stuff, but keep it siloed, 100%. All right, how different should blog posts and newsletters be? Can content overlap? Content can absolutely overlap because nobody is paying attention to where you are everywhere you are, and people aren't even fully paying attention to where they are with you right now, right? If you've ever noticed how easily, well, I don't know that a lot of us necessarily notice this, but people don't, really smart and respectful people don't fully listen to and follow directions, right? Because we're just so distracted. So don't worry about being redundant because to them, you're not. So the difference between a blog post and a newsletter, though, is that a blog post really should be something that's evergreen. A blog post should be something that you can talk about today, that when someone discovers the post 7 years from now, it's still relevant to them from a subject matter perspective. A newsletter is a now thing. Now, a newsletter can reference your latest blog post or even a blog post from 7 years ago or both, but a newsletter is a now thing and it's sent out via an email, right? A blog post is a piece of content that lives on your website and allows more people to discover you via search, and of course adds to your credibility because you've got more content that's published, setting you apart from everybody who's just got a social media account. So newsletters are the now, blog posts are the forever. That can be forever updated also. Is there a recommended length for each blog post? What would be considered too short? So I would say above all, create, right? Don't let anything get in the way of just creating and creating consistently. I have done several trainings. It's been a bit since we've done a training on SEO, but the last one that we did, I believe, is still fully relevant. Generally speaking, because of the history of search engines and the algorithms being dominated by the likes of Google, right? And the fact that Google was created by scholarly folk from Ivy League schools, they tend to favor longer, substantive content that is formatted in a way that echoes academic structures, right? So that means that your blog post that's got 500 words, very, very unlikely to show up on the first page of Google if the keywords, are a match for something that someone is Googling. If they're Googling a 500 word blog post, unless that keyword is super niche and nobody really ranks for it, you're probably not going to get found. You're going to see a higher likelihood of effectiveness of your posts from a search perspective at above 1,000 words and beyond. I would even say 2,500 is probably more the norm for front page at this point. This again is why AI is your friend, because it saves you tons of time in creating that content and expanding it out. But importantly, and this is a really important thing for you to know, when you're just getting started with content, you don't really need to be so concerned about hitting the front page of Google. You need to be concerned about building a consistent base of content, right? Building authority, if you will. And this is really most of the results you're going to get from publishing blog posts in the early days are going to be through networking, right? Because you're going to be on social media, DMing people, seeing if you can get interviewed or interview someone, get better visibility, get in front of others, and it's going to have people who are serious in your field take you more seriously, right? The short-term impact is going to be related to the boots on the ground work that you're doing. The long-term impact of creating content is going to be people organically finding you, right? And you never having to pay a dime for advertising because people just show up because they find that one blog post that you wrote 7 years ago that talks about topic A, B, C, or D, and people subscribe and you get those leads, right? Okay, I'm glad that helps. Good, good, good. Let me know if you guys have questions that you want to chat about, if you want to kind of, see how we can navigate refining your content silos, feel free, pop your hand up. I'd be happy to chat through this with you. Okay, let me see. Oh, Allison, Trello is really not very complicated. It can be if you allow it to be, but if you just follow the steps that I show in that training series and just keep yourself limited to the functions that I show there, believe me, there are a lot of crazy things you can do with Trello. You don't have to though, right? And that's kind of why I set it up the way that I did. Uh, just use the free plan and you're not going to get into the stuff that's crazy complicated. Like it's simpler than you think. You just have to start using it. And yeah, that Trello board is the one that you would have gotten if you got it from that content series we did a while back. Let me see if there are any questions here that I am missing. Okay, yeah, Greg just pasted the playlist into the chat here, and I'll show you guys. If you want to get the Trello board, you're going to find it in the description of this training right here. But I highly recommend, and there's a reason why I'm not sending you to the checklist. I'm sending you to the playlist. Right? The checklist has a link to the Trello board. It's really important that you understand the strategy behind using it, because if you just get the Trello board and you open it up and you haven't actually paid attention to watch that training and follow the steps that it shows, then you're going to be lost, right? So at minimum, make sure, and again, the bulk of the content, you see 50 minutes, you see an hour, what have you, it's the first half hour of any of these. And it's really, this is the one that you want to start with. This is where this really matters. And then when you want to really start creating your content, then you get into that next 30 minutes here. And then when you're ready to start publishing, 30 minutes here, right? And all told, what this looks like, and we're really just stacking onto a strategy that we discussed here, is that you can get a month's worth of content created and ready to automatically drip out in an hour, right? If you follow what's here and you use that Trello board. But the Trello board, like I mentioned, is going to be in a checklist that you'll find here. And again, it's a part of a larger strategy. So do make sure that you are following along with that if you want to get the full benefit and understand exactly what is going on there. Yeah, feel free. Yeah, pop your hand up if you have questions, if you want to walk through something together. One other thing that I would like to show you, again, this is just a touch more advanced, but I see some familiar names here who are super users. So I want to make sure you guys know how to do this. So if you wanted to create a silo page on your Get Oiling site, there's a couple of things that you could do, but that begins with creating a page. And what page will I use here? I'm going to use this Jenna template homepage. I particularly like this one where I want to feature stuff. Okay, so here on the top of this page, obviously this photo is going to maybe be changed into something else. So maybe what silo will this be? This will be self-care for busy moms. I'm going to keep this a square. So I'm going to go into Canva and use the logo setting so I can get a square image. And I'm going to search for self-care. And I'm going to look for photos. And how about that? Beautiful, love it, perfect. Let's, I think, yeah, it looks like that is a premium image. So the trick to exporting a premium image is to just add another element to the page because it's going to give you an error setting if you don't. So I'm going to send this to the back. Let me see. All right, we're gonna layer. Did this something change here? Oh, you know what? I need to have them one over the other. Actually, yeah, here we go. All right, layer, send backward. And then I'm just going to take this image and stretch it. And unfortunately, this is what Canva's been doing, even with paid accounts. All right, here we go. Self-care isn't selfish. I like that. That works. I'm going to send that to Getaway Link. Perfect. Okay, so that's here. And here in this section, I'm going to remove this call to action because I'm actually not trying to send them somewhere just yet. This is really where I want to focus on the topic itself. So here I'm going to say self-care for moms who don't have time. And here I might say some more about what I'll talk about, right? So here's why I talk about it, here's why it's important, etc. And here I might even choose to feature some of my blog posts. Now, we don't currently have the ability to link to blog posts based on category, meaning, so let me show you just as an example here. If you want to add a section that is like just your blog posts, you can go add section, recent blog posts, and then you can choose how you have this embedded. So here's like, that's what that looks like. But these are just going to show them based on how recently they were published, right? So this is actually not what I would choose to use in a situation like this. I would actually feature very specific posts. And so to do that, I would go over to, I'm actually just going to go to the dashboard and visit the blog. So I'm going to view the site and under learn, I've got blog here. And so here, I'm going to open up this guy here. I'm going to download this image. And I'm going to actually put that right here, right? So I'm going to swap that out. And of course, here I can put the title to this blog post, and then I would want to link to it as well. So I can actually copy this link. And I can even come over here and hyperlink this as well, or I can hyperlink this title, right? So right, so I can actually put in a hyperlink to that post. So that's an example of something that you can do. But then if I want to send them from here to read more, right? I want to send them to read more about this topic. So here I'm going to go to edit this button. And instead of going to lead, I'll show you where we go in just a second. So read more on this topic. And where we want to go is here's my self-care. Remember we clicked that and we created this URL up here that will show them everything about that particular category or everything that is tagged with that category. I can actually put that link in right here. So here I'm talking about the topics, I am using keywords, I am linking to posts that I want to feature. This is again not going to auto update like the regular blog section would. So this would really be you going and selecting the ones that you want to use and setting those up here so that they could go and read those individual posts. Maybe you can give a little context here. Maybe it's a photo of you, a little bit about your story as it relates to this topic. And then we can send them over to the list of published blog posts that relate to this specific topic. So you could even really take advantage of this very important SEO strategy, which is to have category, like keyword category pages on your website and use that to drive people over to your blog. So again, a little bit more advanced if you're someone who's just getting started with content. That is not something that you need to do. You just want to start focusing on creating content and getting it out there so that people can see it and engage with it. But as you start really working to improve your strategy, you want to level up your search power, then that is something that you could consider doing as well. All right. Thank you guys for showing up for yourselves here today, showing up for your business, and to learn something new or improve on something that you are already working on. If there's something that you would like to learn more about, please let us know. We are happy to create more trainings to show you exactly how to get done what you want to get done for your unique approach to your brand partner business. Also, look forward to seeing you guys at Aroma Sharing in July. If you're going to be at convention, we will be there, and of course we'll be excited to see you, give you hugs and high fives. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions for us in the meantime before we go live again next week, feel free, head over to our Facebook group, shoot us a message. There is always real quick, final thing to land on here. If you don't know, I want you to know this. Go to Success Academy, go to Help from a Real Person, and there are all the different ways, including getting onto this call or signing up for help on this call, and reaching out to our team Facebook group, and even a smaller group help call that you can hop on with Pam. There's so many ways that you can get help here. We're here for you, and we so appreciate being a part of your journey. So we will be back here same time next week. And till then, have a great week, everybody.